Hey everybody, Smart Silver Stacker here, and I wanted to make a video to discuss some of the developments that have occurred in the past few days in the precious metal space, and also just to share some of my observations on the metal market at the moment. Notably, on Friday there was a regulatory filing from Berkshire Hathaway which revealed that they had purchased 20.9 million shares of gold miner Barrick Gold, one of the world's largest gold miners. This was a position valued at about 563.5 million US dollars. So, if anybody follows Warren Buffett, they'll know that he has criticized gold in the past, citing it as an unproductive asset, saying it has no yield, and basically poo-pooing owning precious metals. And Charlie Munger, his partner, has also made similar comments. Notably, I think it was Munger who uh, said that the only kind of use he could see for precious metals um, was someone in the same situation as a Jew in the 40s fleeing the Holocaust. Or he made comments to this end at some point several years ago. But aside from that, he couldn't see a lot of utility in owning precious metals. So he's saying, if you're fleeing a country from an oppressive regime, you might want to be able to keep your wealth in a small place like gold. And that's not an exact quote from him, of course, but you can look up the video where he's mentioning this. And I mean, I don't think that I've mischaracterized his comments at all. But now, Berkshire Hathaway here buying up $500 million of one of the world's largest gold miners. And they've also sold all of their Goldman Sachs. So I think that this shows that Warren Buffett has come around and he realizes that there are some problems ahead for the US dollar as we continue to create money out of thin air and spend money like programs just don't cost anything here in the US. Um, Perhaps he's viewing gold as less useless these days as the prospects for the dollar are not particularly bright going forward. But one of the nice things about a mining share is you actually can get yield from it since Barrick isn't gold itself, it's just a company that profits from selling gold. So, there is a place, I think, for mining shares and companies that are involved in the precious metals space. Even for stackers, physical metal first, but something like Barrick Gold, the Newmonts, the Barricks of the world, even some of the silver miners, First Majestic Silver, those I think will do well in the coming inflationary environment that we're going to experience where precious metals are rising because basically the price of the product that these companies are selling is going to be going up, and so their profits are going to be going up as well, and therefore the share prices will have plenty of room to grow, and there will be plenty of cash to be distributed in the form of dividends for shareholders. And of course, none of this is investment advice. I'm just sharing my thoughts on the subject and kind of telling you how I feel about the markets. Um, but yeah, so this was announced after the close of markets on Friday. So I'm expecting on Monday we're probably going to see a pretty good move up in the metal as people get word that Warren Buffett is now bullish on the precious metal space. And of course, $500 million for Warren Buffett, really not a significant, enormous part of his overall wealth. I believe Berkshire Hathaway manages over $800 billion worth of assets. So really, percentage-wise, this is not a huge position for them, but that's not to say that they're not going to continue making purchases in the precious metal space. This might just be the beginning of big money moving into that space in a big way. I mentioned in a previous video that as soon as institutional money starts moving into the precious metal space, that's really going to get the ball rolling on driving the prices much higher for the metals, as the silver market in particular is a very small market, and any amount of money entering the space can affect the price significantly. Um, but yeah, so keep an eye out on Monday on the open to see what happens with metals. I'm guessing they're probably going to tick up at the open because Berkshire Hathaway moving into the space is good news for stackers, definitely. Another thing I wanted to mention was I made this video here, is silver the next Bitcoin? And this is admittedly kind of a clickbaity title. I made this back in 2017. In the video, I just talk about how um, I can remember when cryptocurrency was just getting started and discussing it with people, and they basically had no idea what I was talking about. They didn't really have any interest in cryptos. And then once they blew up, people that I knew, acquaintances of mine who I'd never typically talked about money or anything with, would start mentioning Bitcoin to me because they had bought a small amount or they were interested in buying some. But it had entered sort of the zeitgeist, and people were thinking about it, and people were buying Bitcoin, and the public was moving in that direction at this time in 2017. And how still at that time, and this is still the case, if I mention silver, if someone comes up and starts talking about money, if I mention precious metals or silver, I still get funny looks. Um, and this has had been happening a lot with the run up lately in precious metals. There's also been the run up in cryptocurrency. And something I've noticed again is people around me, people at work, have been coming up, and now this time around, they're showing me their Robinhood apps on their phone, and how they're using it to invest in crypto, and that's pretty much what they're all using it for. None of them seem to be too interested in equities, but cryptocurrency, and they're buying Bitcoin or they're buying Ethereum, and they're watching the charts like hawks, trying to, shave a few bucks off of a trade. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't begrudge them that, but something that's interesting is these same people who today are very active, and these are just casual people I've met. They're, casual acquaintances, coworkers, at a blue collar job. Um, they're talking to me about cryptos, but again, when I mention silver or precious metals, I just get kind of quizzical looks, eye rolls. The conversation is steered quickly back to cryptos. And so I think this is indicative. It really doesn't have as much to do with cryptocurrency as it does with metals, how really there's not very many people out there stacking. I mean, admittedly, stackers do tend to play it kind of close to the vest. They're not out there advertising the fact that they are stacking metals, but at least they might like to talk about it in sort of a vague sense, not necessarily what they're stacking, but what's going on with the prices of metals. And even though silver has gone from $12 up to 29 in the past couple of months, which is an enormous percentage gain, it doesn't really seem to be on anybody's radar yet. And I'm talking about people I just know casually. Whereas cryptocurrency, they're hot on it, they're buying it, they're trading it on their on Robinhood on their phone. They're talking to people about it. None of these people are talking about precious metals. So I think it shows that there's still a lot of money from the retail investor that can flow into the precious metal space as well, because not a lot of retail investors, at least from what I can tell in my personal anecdotal experience, are investing in metals at this time or really thinking about them much. So when that changes, and when it changes, you might want to start thinking about liquidating some of your positions, of course, because the indication that the public is getting in might start to indicate something like a top in the price of precious metals. But at least for now, what this is an indicator to me is that we are nowhere near a top in the precious metals. The public hasn't rushed in any kind of a big way. Institutions like Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway are just getting started moving into the space. So there's lots of money from retail and institutional investors that still hasn't entered the space and has the potential to. And when it does, when people start getting freaked out about the dollar because we're printing them like crazy, and monetizing debt and continuing to spend like we have all the money in the world, those people then, when they start to move into the precious metal space, it's going to drive the price a lot higher. Gold, yes, but especially in silver, because silver is such a tiny market. It's getting consumed. The supply is shrinking if it's not constantly being replenished by mining. It's a small market. I mean, silver is still at these prices, in my opinion, cheap. 26 bucks an ounce. I think it's very cheap. When gold is not over 2,000 anymore after the correction we had, it has dropped a bit. But still, gold closed at Friday above its previous 2011 all-time high. So that is still very bullish for gold. I don't think we've seen a top in these markets yet. I think that the pullback that we had in the past week was just a little bit of a correction because the markets had gone parabolic, and they still have plenty of room to move up. So I personally am viewing any pullbacks in the price of precious metals or also in metal stocks as a buying opportunity. And I've actually got a couple of orders from JM Bullion that are coming in. I might do a video when those arrive. I did a video a couple weeks ago about the new Mint ID bars that they're carrying. I think those are a pretty cool product. But if you'd like to see an unboxing of those or just kind of showing off some new stuff to the stack, let me know in the comments below and I'll go ahead and make those videos. Also, what do you guys think about precious metals? Is there still a lot of room for the upside? Do you think that there's still a lot of money that could come into the market? Do you think that the bull market's over? Are we done? Are we heading back down? I'm not sure how many stackers out there really believe that. But if you do, let me know in the comments below. And if there's any kind of video you'd like to see in the future, please let me know that in the comments as well. And of course, like the video, subscribe to the channel so you can get more of these videos in the future. And just thank you so much for watching, everybody. I'll catch you next time. Smart Silver Stacker out.